All right, Sam. So let's have fun with a few tweets. I found three or four, and the first one I'm really excited to get into. So
Hmm.
let's,
Oh,
yeah,
before
go
you get
ahead.
into that, I genuinely like to thank you for diving into this cesspool that is called Twitter, and finding these because I mean, to be fair, I find Twitter fine, but it's just too fast for my mind. But thank you for that.
I mean, I can't
That's
stand being
hard.
on Twitter, and I think in most like sectors, like it's just like a waste of time because there are like three people who listen to you and see you in most areas. But in the news world, it's not bad, and in this
It's the
progressive news
fastest
world, you
news.
find,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I like the what do you call it, UI UX type of thing. I like its look.
the
That's
user
I
experience.
I pretty yeah. I don't understand it. I'm like it's a vase to me. It's like oh beautiful, but yeah, that's all as far as I go. But thank you for because
Yeah.
I'm out of that completely.
No worries. Okay. All right. Let's get into this tweet. So first, I'll read the tweet that Cenk responded to, and I don't even have the full tweet, but it really doesn't matter. So I'll make a thousand
Okay.
dollar donation to your trash network or your charity of choice to see you call Rogan, who is not only the most successful podcast in history, but also a black belt in mixed martial arts. Blah 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 blah. And Cenk
Wait,
responds, "Let
wait. Do
me."
you know what was the original Jenks thing
Yeah. So the
claim?
main the issue is over COVID. Cenk has some
Oh, okay.
beef with the different COVID stuff that Joe Rogan
Oh,
is saying.
oh.
So that's what started the whole thing. But the tweet and the direction that we're going to is
Yeah, the
irrelevant.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
doesn't
It's
matter what they're
focus.
arguing about.
Oh no,
So
just wanted to. Yeah.
yeah, so Cenk responds, "Deal, easiest $1,000 I ever made. You think he's going to assault me? Sure, whatever. That's incredibly dumb, but also wouldn't work." So okay, that's the grown-up part, I guess, kind of talking. But then he goes,
Sure, whatever is.
I'm much larger than Joe, and I've fought my whole life. I'd end them, but grown-ups don't do that. I'll send you the PO box to send me check to send check to later. Okay, Sam. So this caught my attention immediately.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know. Before your, I know you have. We'll get into your stuff. First, I like as somebody who teaches English and as somebody who's very interested in linguistics, he's going to assault me. Isn't assault like a sudden attack of assault is not a fight, isn't it? Like he thought he's going to beat you, not like win in a fight against you, not assault you.
Um,
So it's just
I mean,
my sense of English teacher was assaulted
no, but I
at the
think
moment.
it's like a
Yeah.
I think in law,
Or
I
I
think
don't
like
know,
legally speaking
fight.
though, I think it might be legally speaking. Like let's say if you go and beat
Oh,
up like
in
someone on the
fights
street.
language.
No. If you no, no, not fight language. I'm just guessing. I don't know, but I think in law, legally speaking, like if you go and like you beat up, if two people go and beat up someone, then
It's
then they
assault.
go. They've been assaulted. So I believe that's what it.
No, exact. But he says that's the thing. The guy didn't say that I pay you $1,000. I'll make you $1,000 donation if Rogan assaults you. He said if he like what I mean. Like I,
Yeah,
it's just This is my English. I'm upset about the fact that he used that word. You should have said fight or whatever.
but I mean, I
He,
think
he
well,
win in a fight. Win in a
what
fight.
um,
Such a tangent, but
but like assaulting, I think he's referring to like the legal aspect to it. It's called an assault if you go beat up someone and all this, you've assaulted them,
exactly.
I believe, legally
But
speaking.
that's
So he's saying that if Joe Rogan beat me up in the eyes of the law, that's not considered a fight, that's you've been assaulted. I think so, I'm just guessing. Do you get what I'm saying?
oh, but I know, but he didn't say he's gonna assault. He said he's gonna call. He said I'll make a donation if you call. I
Yeah,
that's
I know. Anyway,
I don't
yeah, I don't even know why I'm
yeah
defending or what I'm even getting
uh into this.
into
Yeah, I know it
here,
was a
to
terrible.
be
But I
completely
would
honest.
again. I'll don't use that. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was the wrong use of language. That's all. Anyway,
It possibly is, but like, yeah, I
anyways,
think it
but
is
get
in
into
normal
your. I
speaking
think
term. I think get in normal speaking term, it could possibly be, but legally speaking, I think even if two people agree to fight on the street and one of them gets beaten up, they can go to
Oh,
court and say, "Hey, I was assaulted." I believe. I'm just guessing. Maybe if we have any
good point.
lawyers
Good
or
point.
anything, anybody who knows this kind of common basic
Criminal
rules of
lawyer
life, someone who even knows
or
kindergarten
language.
level of law, yeah,
I would love it if a linguistic comes out
could
that says
explain.
actually assault meant in 15th century. Anyway, but yeah, no, sorry about tangent,
Yeah,
really.
no
But
worries.
your take is much more, yeah,
Well, I didn't have a
interesting now.
take. I wanted to break it down. And I've seen some
Yeah,
other places they're trying to break down who would win in a fight. And because, Cenk is
really?
quite confident, he says, "I'm much larger than Joe and I fought my whole life. I'll end him." And of course, given Joe Rogan's past and reputation, there's articles comparing their heights and size and everything and how he would go. So I wanted to give how I think this fight would go out, my official prediction if Cenk
All right.
and Joe
One
Rogan
question.
fought. Yeah.
I knew Cenk did boxing or something when he was young, but he's been fighting. He's like he's known to be a boxing exercise
So it's
a
good that
lot.
you asked
Or
that. I will answer that by responding with the information I found on each of them. It's good that's exactly kind of what I was going to do. So,
sorry, yeah,
first of
breaking
all, we're
for
going to consider this as being an MMA fight. And at the end, I'll give a stimulation if it was a boxing fight. But let's say if it's an MMA fight, so mixed martial arts, so like the UFC that Joe Rogan commentates, right? So that means you
MMA is the
can,
one that there is no rules except the eye thingy, right? And
yeah, I mean,
the
of course, there are a bunch of rules, but it's pretty much, it's all the grappling arts and the striking arts together. So there are still rules.
uh,
It's just, it's in that way. But yeah, no, that's a good way to put it, right? So let's consider if they get into an MMA fight. First, I'm going to give the tail of the tape, as they call it in the industry. So their heights and all this, so
what's
we can
that?
see where they're at. So
What
Cenk,
they call it? Tail of
yeah,
what?
tail of the tape.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like the
Okay.
term. Okay. So let's start with their height a little bit. Cenk is 5'8", 5'8.5", apparently, based on what I found. And Joe Rogan's about an inch shorter. And actually, I'll put a picture right here when Cenk, back then when he was friends with Joe Rogan, he went and they did the Joe Rogan podcast. So they're standing next to each other. You can kind of see. Then when it comes to weight, so I couldn't find their weights
Wait,
online.
wait. How important is that?
So the height. Well, I'll tell you. I'll get. That was a good question. That's a very
All
good
right, all right.
question.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Let me give
Sorry.
those. No, that was a really good question. So in my stimulation and prediction, I'll tell you how I think these factor in.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. All right. Sorry, I
So
didn't know. Yeah.
yeah, no worries. But their weights, I don't have it. But just looking at it, I would assume Cenk has 15 kilos at least, which is about 30 pounds at least on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has a lot of muscles, but
Isn't muscle heavier than fat?
I
Because
believe
I
so.
feel no
No, I
offense, but
no
I
no
feel
no.
like I mean it's not his job, but Cenk is a
Yeah,
slightly more
yeah.
uh,
Um,
you know,
I
whatever.
believe so, but yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but I
But
I
yeah,
think
50 I
he looks like
think
he
30 pounds is fair. 30
yeah he
pounds is
looks like
fair.
he's quite a bit heavier. Yeah, 30 pounds, let's say. Okay. So that's kind of their physical attributes, we can say. And age wise, Joe Rogan is 3 years older than Cenk.
Wow.
However, Joe Rogan, people know he's in great shape, and he's very public about the fact that he's on TRT, so testosterone replacement therapy, that makes him a
Oh, he
significantly younger person. So he injects testosterone into his body to take the levels
he
back up.
but isn't all right. Anyway, all right. I
So
would
yeah, no,
imagine
what were
has
you
some
gonna
side
say?
effects.
Sorry. Yeah,
Side effect?
testosterone replacement therapy has some side effects that I'm sure he
But
monitors,
it
but
does increase your strength.
it just increases your level of testosterone, which has huge benefits in terms of like physical gain and all this. Like it's like a steroid or even better, because your testosterone level starts dropping from the age of 30 pretty
Is that
much
human
among
growth
men.
thingy?
No, this is no,
Is that
he's pretty much
oh
no,
this is
it's just
something
testosterone. It's nothing else. Your testosterone levels start dropping at the age
I
of 30.
after yeah,
So
yeah.
you add testosterone. So he's a 50-year-old man, but he probably has as much testosterone in his body, if I understand this correctly. So please
30.
correct me, as a 30 or 25-year-old, even, or something like that. And in the UFC, there was TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, was actually legal for a while, and some fighters were taking it. And Joe Rogan named one of the fighters, who used to be called Vitor Belfort, he started calling him TRT Vitor during that special time where he was allowed to take TRT and compete, because he had
So it
just
became
turned
his
into
nickname.
a beast. Yeah, Joe Rogan came up with that.
To be
So
fair,
this,
I'm gonna look into that for myself.
yeah, no, but doctors prescribe it. Even people who are injured, they take it for a while. It has
I'm
all kinds of. So yeah,
yeah, I can't build the muscle
but
except with
okay,
my
so
brain. Yeah.
that's that. So age-wise, Joe Rogan is even older, but I believe he's probably in much better shape. Now let's talk about their kind of athletic background. So Joe Rogan, it's well documented that he did taekwondo at a decently high level at a young age, going all the way up until competitions, and there's footage on this, until the age of 19. So he has experience in taekwondo, and he's very well known for his like leg kicks. I'll put some clips here. Oh, 120,000. 127. His spinning leg kicks.
Straight line. Straight line. Straight. Straight line. Always straight.
And his short leg and his low leg kicks. They post those all the time online. It's everywhere.
I saw one of that once on one of his shows, that he did a whole like they do the like 180 degrees,
Yeah,
but he's standing, and I was very impressed. Like, Jesus, yeah, I
no,
wish I could do that.
he has that old school flexibility that comes especially with people who did karate and taekwondo in like the 80s and 90s. There was a big emphasis on that kind of stretch. So sometimes even like
Exactly.
modern athletes, they can't do it, but he could do it. Back then, there was a huge emphasis on that. So that's his taekwondo and
Yes.
kickboxing background. Then as an adult, he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu under 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. His friend Eddie Bravo, he often comes on the podcast, especially when he was in LA. He was like the king of
Jiu-jitsu
conspiracies.
Jiu-jitsu is the very mixed, pretty harsh one, like
No,
Krav
jiu-jitsu.
Maga, right?
No, jiu-jitsu is on the floor.
You grapple.
And yes, it's grappling on the floor, and you put people in submissions. So you get there, you put them in a choke or your
like
arm.
wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling on the ground. It's jiu-jitsu. It's different than wrestling. It's a specific sport, but yeah, it's grappling. But you're asking all the right questions. It's actually going in the right direction.
Asking all the questions that somebody who has never seen a fight in his life.
No, but that's good. I don't think many of our audience.
They touch each other.
So that's Joe Rogan. He has decent experience, but he's actually never fought in MMA. So he's never was an MMA fighter, and his boxing is not particularly, I think, good. And he also never did wrestling in college. So let's bear all these things in mind. Now let's move to Cenk.
Why do you? One thing, did he ever do jiu-jitsu competition?
Jiu-jitsu competition. I'm not sure.
And why do you say?
But he's a black belt. He's a
okay,
10th
fair
Planet
enough.
Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
He must have.
And
but why do you say his boxing is not good? He said
relatively speaking, based on like the footage I've seen and his past experiences.
But he's done boxing though.
I don't think to anywhere near to the same extent as he did taekwondo as a kid, or he did jiu-jitsu. So I'm sure he did boxing, and he himself, I believe, has talked about how he wasn't as comfortable with his hands. And I mean, if you watch videos of him online, it's not him punching a bag. It's always him.
Is all leg, and
it's not all legs. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry about that. Just a little technical issue. But yeah, Sam asked so taekwondo focuses and prioritizes your legs, but your hands are still, you can still use your hands, but depending on different tournaments, they have different rules. But yeah, it's primarily your legs, and whereas boxing is purely your hands and a special way of punching. Like you can't like spin around and hit people with like the back of your hand or something. You can just like do a couple of types of punches and that's boxing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
English boxing, it's called, more specifically, I believe. Okay, so let's move to Cenk. And here I didn't have as much information. So you mentioned that perhaps he's done boxing before, and I couldn't find anything on that. I've heard him talk about playing rugby in college, which is not a combat sport.
Really? I played rugby.
Okay, so now you might
I loved it.
undermine my argument here. No, I'm joking. But I was gonna say it's not necessarily a combat sport, but there is the whole tackling involved. So you could say that
contact sport.
There's the contact sport, and given that Cenk is American, he could have possibly done wrestling in high school. So based on all this, I'll say that he possibly has some wrestling kind of experience.
And he's of Turkish background, and in wrestling in Iran, Turkey, Greece is like a national sport, so makes sense. I'm sure his dad must have like.
Perhaps if they are, that is true. If his dad knew, because if not, it's like one of those things that you kind of learn in school and through like classes. Yes, if his dad
in America,
it's true. Yeah, it's not like football where someone Iran, like you can learn on the streets. But even in Iran, people don't learn wrestling on the streets. There is
no class.
They learn it in school or something, I'm guessing, or
no,
the
they
classes.
Don't. That's the weird thing I found about them. In America is the only country from movies, but I've never been to a US, by the way. I like the class in Iran. Wrestling, you have clubs and people go and it's crazy popular, but not at the school. No.
Yeah, but not on the streets. I mean, nobody really like learns wrestling just like that, no matter how popular it is in a given country. So based on all this, perhaps he's a little bit of wrestling, and that's about it. I doubt with the boxing. And then he himself wrote, I fought my whole life. I would imagine from this that he's saying that he got into street fights. And so he has some experience with throwing punches and things like that. I mean, that's what I'm guessing. I mean, he's saying I'm much larger than Joe and I fought my whole life.
Streets of Benghazi or?
No, but how would you interpret that? Maybe he means like I fought, like, you know,
boxing. I thought because of the boxing shit I knew he's been boxing, but otherwise, to be honest, fight. I don't know.
But okay, Sam. So
he doesn't look like he's been faced.
Yeah, no. I mean, to me, he looked like he could have gotten some fights. I mean, given his right-wing background in college, he was into rugby.
Oh wow!
You're telling me during that time he wasn't like getting into a few bar fights here and there or on campus?
I don't know. I
can see Cenk. I would assume.
No. I was his whole life. I thought means like universities. I'm sure, but I don't know. But I guess. But nowadays, I would assume he's well beyond his fight. Like he's got children and family.
You'd hope so, right? Well, not according to this tweet. Unless he means it in a kind of like very figurative way. I've been fighting my whole life. Which I can also see. Yeah.
Yes.
Which he could say both bullshits. So I really don't know which one of those bullshits he was trying to go with there. But okay, Sam.
We are applying the level of analysis this tweet that is deserving of like Nabokov or something. Anyway.
Yeah. But okay, so let me bring the analysis all together. Now I've given you all the different pieces, right? So let's say the fight starts in an MMA cage.
Who's the ref?
Sanctioned ref, okay, a proper ref given by the authorities.
That's Anna?
Okay, no, a real ref.
Jamie.
Okay, Jamie would be a good one. But okay, Sam, here's how I think the fight would go in an MMA cage, and at the end, I'll give it in a boxing one. In an MMA cage, given based on the experiences I've gave, Cenk being the bigger guy, clearly being someone who believes in himself a lot. I'm much larger than Joe, right? I'd end him. He's going to start coming forward, right? He's going to start coming forward and trying to kind of grab Joe. I could see him throwing some hard leg kicks as we've seen, right? Hurting Cenk a bit there, but Cenk kind of still comes forward, tries to grapple. Then if Joe throws some kind of spinning kick or something, grapple a bit, because I think he will try to punch him and try to get a hold of him like Cenk. I would think he would try to punch and try to get a hold of him, try to punch, get a hold. And then Joe Rogan, if he throws one of his spinning kicks or something and they don't land, they'll get entangled. And then here's your good
All right.
question about the weight that you said. Is it important that Cenk is bigger? So it becomes bigger if
Height.
they go to the ground. Height or weight, whichever one contributes to more weight. So like if you're really taller, of course you'll
I
weigh more
see, I
too.
see.
But when you start
I see.
wrestling, that's when weight is like very important. That's why in wrestling they have like classes, like like people who are 3 pounds heavier than
wrestlers.
each other. That's totally different. So
Yeah,
that's
I
totally
know,
different.
but like
Yeah,
I
but
can imagine force.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So Cenk will try to do that and take him to the ground. I can see there him being kind of on top of Joe Rogan a bit, trying to hit him and stuff. But this is where I think Joe Rogan's jiu-jitsu would come in. And unless he's super rusty, and which I know he doesn't practice now, but let's say if he had a fight camp, I think Cenk would get tired quite fast on top trying to go crazy. And Joe Rogan would get him in a submission and win the fight in that way. So that is my official prediction of how I think it would go in an MMA ring, in an MMA cage. Sorry, I should say. And if you don't have any questions, I can tell you how it would go in pure boxing. Go ahead.
I no questions. I would have thought you would go with like I assume like Joe Rogan is much faster, so he would just go around and start kicking the shit out of Cenk, like maneuvering him out. That's like
That's
what do they say? I don't
100%.
know anything about.
I think
But
that's
they
how
say
he would
like
go.
Muhammad Ali Clay style, like
Yeah.
butterfly dance and then
Yeah.
a sting.
Just kind
So
exactly. No, you're right. And I think that's how it will go in the beginning. But eventually, listen, someone who tweets like this, he's gonna have Cenk is gonna be very confident in his head. So I think
I love your
he's gonna
counting
rush
that as a
him.
factor.
He's gonna rush him so much that with Joe Rogan they'll get
Okay. It's gonna,
entangled, right? And like exactly like Muhammad
and
Ali, he
then
was he was just a boxer, so you could also just go away and punch. But yeah, so I think once it goes to the
no, it's
ground,
just all right.
Joe
Because
Rogan will get
and
him in a
legs,
submission.
that's by the way, I've been thinking of doing starting at my age taekwondo. Apparently, legs are like long because they got a longer
Yeah.
reach, right? So that's like it gives
No.
you more.
For sure.
Although you said Cenk is taller, so
No, but very little, very little. But if Joe Rogan is very sharp in his skills still, he could, just like you're saying in the beginning, circle, head kick, and possibly kick him in the head and just KO him there. But I can imagine Cenk rushing at him like a bull and it just like both end up on the ground. Like I can so see that happening.
Okay, let's go to the boxing.
The boxing one.
Yeah, we should do a fucking regular of this, like Dave Rubin versus Sam Cedar. I really want to know the Kyle Kalinske versus Destiny. Like these are the fights I want settled.
I think Destiny would win because he'd fight so dirty. Like based on the 2 minutes that I've seen on Destiny.
Bring a knife and
immediately poke him in the eye.
Wash
over.
Wash would bring a gun. Like that's like the type of person. Like he's just not gonna even.
Yeah.
Because he knows he has no. Anyway, so.
No, exactly.
But yeah, these are the fights. I wish instead of boxing these athletes that exercise, we just like even politicians like Mitch McConnell versus Chuck Schumer. That would be a fight to see. Anyway.
Well, Trump is into fights. He goes to these boxing events. Actually, there are these celebrity boxing events. Yeah, but Trump goes a lot.
But Biden, I don't know if you recall, he said, if somebody talked to me, it was, I think, Trump's primaries or something. I'll take him back of the school. And people were like, okay.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, Trump like attends some of these events.
Yeah,
but
just most things he watches them.
Yeah. So, okay, just to wrap this up, let's say if it was a boxing fight, then it was just them boxing. I think if Cenk knows a little bit of boxing and him and Joe Rogan would just have a very boring fight of both of them being tired and barely being able to punch and them kind of like colliding together and the refs separating them. And then maybe Joe Rogan, if he manages to be fit, maybe he'll be able
Faster.
to, maybe he'll be able to punch and get away. But I think the boxing one would be nowhere near as entertaining as the fighting, because it would take away Joe Rogan's as the MMA. It would take away Joe Rogan's kicks, and it would take away Joe Rogan's jiu-jitsu. And I don't think either of them have really
And
good
it would
hands.
take away Cenk Uyghur's anger and
Yeah, exactly, right? Anytime he does that, the ref will just separate them.
Yeah.
I can see
I
Cenk
must
getting
say,
really tired and like leaning on Joe,
yeah.
pushing
I
him up.
must say though, I mean, again, controversial take here, but I hate fucking boxing, and I never understood people who get into boxing or frankly karate and all that. All these sports with all these, no, you can't kick them in this way. That is, fuck you, man. If
Yeah.
you're gonna do a fight, do a fight. I hate boxing so much.
Oh,
Like,
really?
it's the most boring sports in my view. And then, oh, he was so strong. What? He was so strong at doing.
Well,
Somebody came with a fucking leg, or I fucking hate it. I
No,
don't know why. It's so boring, man. And it's
No,
just
but-
everybody's doing this half of the like bunch of pussies. Anyway,
I mean, the bad
Sorry.
fights are shitty for sure, but boxing can be extremely effective, even in like a street fighting situation, even if the other person is kicking and all that, because it's actually less risk than kicking. You don't slip or something like that. But
all right.
but
I-
no, but
Okay, I don't know about the
boxing
details.
is
I
extremely
just sport
technical, but I
is
know what you mean.
boring,
I think viewers
boring.
know that about
not
you.
technical.
But
But
okay.
MMA, I don't like any of these things. Or
Yeah.
what's that? Recently in the Olympics, they gave a fucking gold medal to some form of dance that they called martial arts, katana. Guy came and like, what the fuck is going on? I hate these weird, like they keep coming up with these. No, this is called voodoo, and this is called mujutsu. Let's just fucking fight. Just have
Well,
one.
I mean, they're all
fighting
different,
competition.
but that's
Well,
not
how
how it
are
works.
they different?
They're totally different.
I
I,
th- uh,
mean, you
no,
don't
they're not-
understand them.
no,
That's
just-
different.
No,
It's-
they're different. Of course, they're different
Yeah.
because we made like okay, punching and
Yeah.
kicking are
Okay, I
all
mean, those are
part of fighting.
sports,
Just
of
mix
course.
them.
Yeah, I mean, there's sports in different regions,
I know, but
countries. People
I
did
hate-
different ones, different
No, it's
ideas
like-
that people have had over time over what's dangerous,
No,
what is not
to be
dangerous. I mean, all these things have created together and created these like arts over time, and they've gone in different directions. You know, like in karate, they're so stupid. Exactly. They say like punching in the head, they don't do it because that's dangerous, but they kick in the head. So I'm saying like they've all like come from like these weird
my
ideas that
point
they've
is-
had over
no,
time.
Okay. No, let me clarify. My pet hate is if you're gonna fight, fucking fight. Like I did fencing, I still do fencing, right? I do épée because you can. I hate this, like in Sopra and Flore. No, you have a right of way. No. You can only hit this part. Fuck you. If you're gonna fight, fucking fight. Or boxing, this or taekwondo. I hate taekwondo because of the
Yeah, I
leg
mean, they're
only.
different
Like,
sports
if
and
you're gonna
stuff, yeah.
fight. Like, no, it's just limiting sports to this weird. I don't get it. I don't. That's why
I mean, that's why
I don't
MMA.
like
I mean,
it, but-
MMA literally comes
sorry, I
from
get
that.
so I don't care about
Yeah, I
it.
don't know why you get so fired up, but MMA literally comes
Animated.
from exactly that. From people saying like, why don't you just put? That's what it's called, mixed martial arts. Why don't you put all the different ways of fighting together and just go fight? That's literally what happens in MMA. But okay, Sam.
No, because you know
this-
what? No, wait.
Yeah.
I have to do this as well because I think I hate this whole philosophy that comes. I used to growing, in Iran, like I think our father's generation, they were all like karate was so big, and it's just this like, oh, we have a philosophy and it's all about self-defense, and oh, this is a way of life. Oh, fuck off. Anyway, sorry, I hate that.
So no, let me say actually something because like exactly like
Defend.
the martial arts are like full of a lot of these exact like bullshit stories, and they make no sense. And a lot of these like self-defense classes and the things that they're teaching like the only martial arts that are not effective. How they know they're not effective? They're not used in MMA. If they were effective, people would use them in the cage. but you're 100% onto something. But as per usual, your ignorance in this area has taken the argument a bit too far. But actually, you're really not far off from like
Too far.
Joe Rogan's criticism of all these crazy traditional ones, some of them who talk bullshit,
Oh,
and
really?
why MMA was created, which was, let's bring all these together. But all right, Sam, let's move on to the next story, unless you have any other MMA
No.
related,
So
fighting related,
I am finished with my
testosterone
comments of
related.
something I know. I'm something I know nothing about. I have such a
Yeah,
strong views. Yeah.
but
Sorry,
it's
go
all
to the
good.
next one.
But yeah, do you have your
My
next one? So
apologies.
I'll read it for you. So the next one is by Aaron Maté. Quote, noises linked to mysterious injuries among US diplomats in Cuba
Yeah,
were
yeah.
most likely caused by crickets, not microwave weapons, according to declassified scientific review. But what if the microwaves manipulated the scientists to blame the crickets? So before I give it back to you, Sam, let me just a little bit more information I have on this. So yeah, it was an internal government Pentagon kind of review. They had 8 scientists apparently, and this is what they've reached. But of course, some people are pointing out, well, it's probably something else, not as ridiculous as crickets, but because, apparently there are US
It's a
diplomats all over the
psycho.
world now who are complaining about whatever this issue is. But but this is a real
Kamala Harris
report.
used it.
Yeah. I don't know if you
I
have
believe
anything
she
to say
used it to
here.
get out of. Again, no, not really. Just I think Aaron Maté makes good jokes and good
Yeah.
impressions. So shame he's a journalist. He should have become a comedian. But yeah, from what I understand, yeah, it's probably a psycho, like one of those things that you, what do they, self-fulfilling thing,
Yeah, like
self-fulfilling
mass
prophet,
hysteria,
whatever
they're saying
people
that they've
like
like,
that's seem,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, like yeah, that's what I read from the reports, but I don't know
internalizing.
enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah.
seemed like bullshit from beginning because it seemed like the reminded me of the Russian paying for Talibanis to kill Americans,
Yeah.
type of thing. Like it seemed like weird one. I don't know. It just seemed like such a waste of time for even Cuban or Russian government to do. But
No, no,
whatever.
no. That's a good comparison. Okay, if nothing else here, let's move on to again
Yeah,
another
sure.
tweet by Aaron Maté. So let me read the tweet. He wrote in his book,
Yeah,
The Art.
see, he's a comedian.
What?
Go ahead.
In his
Go
book,
ahead.
in his book, The Art of Sanctions, senior Obama and now Biden official Richard Nephew bragged about the deprivations that US sanctions he designed caused for Iranian civilians. How nice it must be for him to now pick up where he left off. I mean, the only reason I brought this tweet, I know you have a lot of information to add, is the title of the book, The Art of Sanctions. The guy must have thought he was being so clever, the art of war. Let me come up with the art of sanctions. So this the name bugged me because the guy thinks he's being so clever, but no, he just wrote a book about something
It's not even
pretty
being clever. I
horrible
think it's
that's not even effective in some ways in the way that you want it. But yeah, do you have anything to
well,
add
I
about
mean,
this tweet? Do you
okay.
want to just say who Richard Nephew is?
Richard Nephew is, I believe, considered the architect of the US sanctions during Obama against Iran, which, by the way, again, like all these people who think Democrats are any better in any way to Republicans, or should really like Iran, the sanctions on Iran, the sanctions that then Trump went back on, were all constructed and set up during Obama years. George Bush, Clinton. Clinton was first set of sanctions were Clinton, I believe, after the whole hostage crisis. So Obama is genuine. Like if Iranians have a problem with anybody, it's mostly Obama more than anyone. After Carter, which most Iranians consider the lowest of the low, to be honest. Um, uh, and yeah, I think the guy is not even trying to be smart. He's probably, it's like SEO type of thing. He knew that
Yeah.
if he puts art of law, it would come up more in Google search and more. But you know, he's
Also,
a piece of shit. But again, I say I think you didn't get my point. Sorry about that. I jumped in the middle of your speaking. But yeah, you know, when he says AKA sadism, I found that
oh
quite
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, by the way, you say sanctions are proven not to work in the way they know. Like this is, they're not idiots.
Yeah,
I
yeah, of
mean, they
course.
know what sanctions do.
Yeah.
They are trying to put people under pressure so people do what they want to do, which is remove a government, but they don't have the guts or the money or the kahunas to do that. So you
Or
know
the
what they
time or
do is they
priority
try.
or
They
or
have the
people.
time of priority, it seems. They just don't have the money.
But
Yeah.
and then yeah, and now currently he is the deputy US special envoy for Iran. So he's back in a government job.
Sorry, but by the way, just on a
Richard Nixon.
personal note, as somebody who's been extremely lucky in his life financially and all that, the sanctions that Obama put on Iran were like, I mean, look, it's exaggeration. Who cares? History is long, blah blah. But he did destroy a whole generation of Iranians, because you had 70% of Iranians reaching 25 to 30 at the time coming out of university, and it genuinely destroyed it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, this is something
No,
pisses me off.
that's very interesting. Maybe something we should have
Not
to
as
come
much
back
as
to.
MMA stuff, but it does piss me off.
No, but maybe we should come back to this in another video. Obama destroyed a generation of Iranians. Okay, Sam, let's move on to our last tweet, which again features Aaron Maté, although it's not by Aaron
Oh,
Maté,
really? Cool.
but it's by Jackson Hinkle, going live with Aaron Maté to discuss Russiagate and the US empire.
Oh.
Tune in. So all I want to say is that Russiagate, I mean, Aaron Maté really knows so much about Russiagate. So like if this video,
Detail-wise,
yeah,
yes.
this video is pretty much just Aaron for an hour talking about from the beginning, sharing details, what we knew then, what has come out now. So I mean, you know, it's an issue that's both not important but important because of all the different factors we've all discussed, the way it's ignored by some, the way it's not ignored, the way it's lied about, the way how it comes out of pretty much nothing and it's baseless. But yeah, Aaron Maté really does a great job with Jackson in this video to give an overview. I don't know if you have anything specific to add about Russiagate, Sam, or
I would say I didn't see this, but I did see his interview with Michael Isakov, if I'm not mispronouncing his name, and I found that to be as a sort of a adversarial conversation. It was a very genuine and good one. I hope to check this out later as well, and hopefully, I don't know. Were there any significant updates on the matter regarding whistleblowers, or
I mean, you know, so many.
what's
I mean, the latest that happened, you know, is with Hillary Clinton and all, and her lawyer. But I really
the
don't know.
indictment of
Yeah, I really don't know enough on this to tell you what has been what's the most recent one and what's not. You know, it's become like such a multi-layered story because they keep on like, you know, digging, and Aaron says some great stuff. One part I love it. He calls Mueller and like the Mueller report as content creators. He's like, Mueller was just a content creator for mainstream media. So I mean, it's just full of this kind of great shit that you have to go listen for yourself.
All right, I'll definitely check it out. Again, thanks for, although this was not, I mean, you found this through Twitter, but I assume this is on YouTube, right?
Yeah, no, this is on YouTube, but I just brought the Twitter video because the tweet, sorry, because I knew we didn't have that much to say about it, so I just wanted to mention it like that.